John Schneider is the manager of the Toronto Blue Jays, and he very graciously
There he is.
joins us. Look at him there. He's in his
Looking
office.
sharp.
He is looking sharp.
What's up, guys?
Dapper.
Thanks for doing this, man. I appreciate it.
Of course.
So we'll get to the housekeeping right away. I know that you've been asked about Yimi Garcia every day for the past 5 days. Is there any? Can you give us any more insight on whether or not he's a go from this point on? Will we have to wait another day? Will we have to go in the IL? What decisions have you made regarding Yimi?
Good off day yesterday for him. He should be ready to roll tonight out of the pen, which is a welcome sign for us in our bullpen right now.
What needs to happen to move George down the order, John?
Wow, right out of the chute.
Well, I mean, it's early.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, obviously, I've moved the order around a little bit. We'll see. You know what I mean? George, I think, has been underlying. You know, there's been good things going on. We're at the point in the year, I think, with everyone, not just George, where we have to find ways to score more runs consistently, and however that shakes out is how it shakes out. So I think right now, George, he's not in the lineup tonight. He's still kind of battling some sickness, like a lot of guys are, myself included. So we're going to give Schneider a go at the one hole and see how it unfolds tonight against a good pitcher. But yeah, man, there's nothing. I've been saying it for a long time. There's nothing set in stone. You're just trying to, adjust and use your eyes and try to see how we can get more runs on the board consistently.
With George, for me anyway, John, it's sort of two different people. It's the hitter with runners on where he's hitting 125, and then it's the hitter where he's hitting 247 with nobody on base. Where you're standing, can you see a difference in the two different at-bats?
No, honestly, I haven't. I think there's been situations where, George has been a little bit unlucky. I think we can all say that, whether it's with guys on or not. And we're talking about a really good player. We get the fact that, yeah, sure, he's getting older. We hear the outside noise. But I don't think his at-bats are drastically different when there are guys on. It just hasn't gotten the production that, he or we had hoped for to this point. But counting on him to continue, to work at it, continue to understand how pitchers are attacking him right now and make the proper adjustments.
John, as a guy who managed in the minor league system, when you see a guy like Davis Schneider, where he's come from, and, he's taken advantage of opportunities. He's getting a shot tonight in the leadoff spot, obviously because George is sick. But, I mean, as an organizational guy, you just got to like the story in addition to the player, right? This says a lot of good things about a lot of people in that organization, frankly, top to bottom.
Yeah, it does. Him first and foremost, but I think that what gets, everyone just sees the performance on the field. But I think the work that he put in with so many people that don't get recognized speaks volumes to the people that we do have here. And again, the credit goes to Davis, him kind of reinventing himself year after year and not being afraid to make adjustments. He's still doing it right now at the big league level, whether it's with his pitch selection, whether it's with his stance, his setup. He's still evolving with what he's seeing right now. So when you look at him, he's a guy that came over to some big league games in spring, and we joked with him all camp. This was the first big league camp he got invited to, officially. So you love seeing those kind of stories unfold. And then from that, you love watching a young player really try to keep evolving with what's happening in real time.
John, have you or the coaching staff had to have a conversation about going from where he was hitting to the leadoff spot? He's very aggressive, right? Leadoff spot, first thing, if I saw my name in that, I would think, got to take pitches, show the on-deck guy, what he's got, those kind of things. Have you had a conversation with him just saying, stay yourself, be yourself, go up there and let it eat?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I think the leadoff spot in today's game is just way different than what it has been, years ago. But yeah, conversation. We did it once or twice last year. I think we were in Cleveland. He led off a game or two, and what I told him today was last night, don't change. Go have good at bats, swing at the right pitches, hit the ball hard, and do what you've been doing. That's made you pretty successful to this point. So whether it's the first pitch or the ninth pitch, I think what's nice about his at-bats is that they're consistent. He's going to, work a pitcher and get a pitch that he's comfortable swinging at, and a pitch that he can hit hard. So whether it's early in the count or later in the count, just keep doing what you're doing.
Awesome.
John, Vladdy's hitting 318, 7 RBI, 14 hits in his last 15 games. Looks more like the Vladdy we've seen in the past. Why?
I mean, I think, he's been pretty consistent, I think, without, taking a handful of games out in terms of what he's swinging at. And he's, I think confidence is a big thing, for players. And we're such creatures of habit, and I think with Vladdy going good right now, we're probably starting to see, the version of him that is there. He's just in a good frame of mind. His prep is good. His swing is where it needs to be right now. And that's when you're not worrying about that and you're just going out and reacting and competing. I think you see the results that you're getting out of Vlad. But he's, again, he's one of, I've said it a million times. He's one of the most dangerous hitters in the game. And the fact that he's really kind of come into his own with his prep, how he's game planning against a certain pitcher and what pitches he's swinging at. It's not going to be perfect. That's the name of the game. That's the nature of the sport. But I think him just being really comfortable with where he's at right now with his routines, his mechanics, everything's kind of falling into place right now.
Which one you think is closer with Bo, the mental side or the timing side?
I mean, both really.
Yeah.
I think he's still hitting the ball hard. Huge hit in Philly, the RBI single to right. And, it's literally a matter of time for Bo. This guy's got such a proven track record to hit. He's going to hit. And he's been open about it, talked to him as recently as today, and he's frustrated. He knows that he's better than what he's showing so far. And that for us to get to where we want to hopefully get to, we need Bo to be his normal self. And so I think he's feeling that a little bit. But I think the conversations, that have been had in-house, it gives you all the confidence in the world that it's going to turn, and it's going to turn quick. So it may be one game. It could be tonight. It could be tomorrow, until Bo becomes one of the hottest hitters in the game.
John, I think what surprises a lot of people about Bo is you watch him handle pitching. You watch him handle tough pitching and the way he can survive at the plate. I mean, I don't think there's anything as a slump-proof player, but I think maybe that's a thing that probably puzzles you as well, because I watch this guy, and it's not that he should be able to hit everything, but sometimes I think Bo should be able to hit everything, right? Just because of the way he is.
Yeah, it's kind of the blessing is the curse, right?
Exactly.
So you can handle everything.
Exactly.
And he's one of few hitters in the league that can hit tough pitching, whether it's a really good starter or a really good reliever late, So it's really a matter of time. I mean, I know I've said that, but I mean, I like where he is mentally, and I think he's still swinging the bat fairly well. But people are human, they understand when they're not going as well as they want to. It takes a little bit of a toll on you, and no one's immune to that, no matter how good you are. And there's other examples of that around the league with some really accomplished players this year, especially. So really, I mean, we don't want to put too much on Bo and say, hey, you need to hit or we're not going to be where we want to be. He's well aware that he wants to do, it needs to do better, and for a guy that I've seen him for so long, and just, you're not going to outcompete him. I think that's what you fall back on. He's not going to sit back and say, well, woe is me, so it's been a tough stretch, but just as soon as it's, the next day, you're going to look up and the numbers are going to be different, and he's going to be rolling, really. So it's part of it. He gets it, and he's frustrated for sure. But I think the way he's going about it has been awesome.
John, Ken Rosenthal wrote an article yesterday about talking to people around baseball, and I think it kind of stemmed from Jackson Holliday's experience coming up to the majors. And one of the points that was made was that because pitching is generally thin right now at the AAA level, and I'm paraphrasing here, it was a long story, but essentially that organizations have to be careful when it comes to prospects, looking at the numbers their prospects are putting up, because the quality of pitching they're seeing at AAA isn't as good as it's been in the past. You're somebody who's, coached in the minor league system, managed in the minor league system. Is there something to that? And I'm not just saying that because Jackson Holliday scuffled, everybody who comes up is going to scuffle, but it is kind of interesting. It's kind of an interesting concept, and it's something people have kind of talked about possibly happening given the way the game has kind of contracted the minor leagues.
Yeah, I read it. It's definitely interesting. You know, you're talking about the number one prospect in baseball, basically can't miss, right? Jackson Holiday, and struggled. So I think there are glaring differences between the game at AAA and in the big leagues, whether it is pitching, whether it is the ABS system that makes hitting a little bit more advantageous at that level as opposed to here. There's so many things that I think go into it, and I think pitching is so good at this level. There is a buffer zone of time to adjust to it. So, I mean, I think there's so much information, and there's so many things that not just the Blue Jays, but every single team they dive into to see, okay, is this going to work? Is this going to translate? You know, you could make the same argument with Addy Barger, who came up and, you want to say he had one hit and 20 at bats. And, I think every case is a little bit different. He's tearing the cover off the ball in AAA, albeit 80 at bats. But I think the game, it's the hardest jump in this sport, going from AAA to the big leagues. And then you see what the stuff the guys here are featuring night in and night out. It's tough. So a lot that goes into it for sure. And, no one it's not a surefire thing. You got to come up and you got to make some adjustments too.
John, whenever I watch Danny Jansen get the barrel to different windows now offensively, it screams cleanup hitter. When does he get more run hitting cleanup?
Kev, I'm going to send a pen and paper to your set.
Okay.
You're going to write 1 through 9.
No, 1 through 4. 1 through 4.
And one day I'll do it. Yeah, man. That's where we're at. Jano's hitting 5th tonight, and I think I think his at bats have been so consistent. He's hitting the ball hard. He's controlling the zone, and when he's hot, he's hot. And right now, he's having really, really good at bats. Forced him in as a DH the other night just because he's swinging it so well. We'll see, man. Again, my job is to try to put the guys in order to have success, and you don't want to do anything crazy day in and day out, because these guys do thrive on routines. Totally get that. But you can't ignore what guys are doing at the same time. So whether it's anyone 1 through 9 or really 1 through 13, I mean, my goal every night is to try to win, and is to try to put as many runs up on the board as possible. And if it means Jano's hitting 4th, if Jano's hitting 1st, we're not gonna shy away from anything.
What's the hardest part about that for you as a manager, by making out the lineup, when it just comes to how a dude's doing, not just what, how it looks optically, just how he's doing? What's the hardest part of that for you?
Well, I mean, what I see and what not everyone sees is the work that goes in and the conversations that are being had with teammates, hitting coaches, things like that. What it comes down to really is any manager or any coach, you just blindly trust your players. You trust your players to go execute what they're talking about. And it's not going to happen every time, but the hardest part is being patient sometimes, whether, it's okay, this guy should hit for more power, this guy should put the ball in play more. If everyone saw the work that goes in with these guys every single day, it probably makes it a little bit more palatable to swallow, right? I mean, but me and the staff, we're always going to fall back on trusting the players. They are the ones out there performing every single night, and they're the ones that have to go get the results done. So I think what goes into it, you're not throwing stuff at the wall and hope it sticks. There's pretty deliberate thoughts and conversations that go into it, and we feel like there's a few guys that aren't scratching the surface of how good they can be. So it's a tough part of the gig for sure. And you totally get it. I wish you could just say, okay, you got 3 hits last night, you're hitting here tomorrow. It's a different game every single day. And, I think just trusting the players is one of the biggest things that I lean into, and the staff leans into too.
Keeping everybody happy is impossible, John. Basically, that's just what you just said there forever, right? It's hard.
In this job, man, I always say you never have perfect attendance, whether it's you guys or players or fans, you know what I mean? You're never having perfect attendance, you know what I mean? But the guys that are here every day, you want to be as in tune with them as you can be. And that's the beauty and the curse of this job, is there's going to be people that disagree, and you're trying to just make the best decision for the team every single night.
Yeah, I want to ask you about Manoah, what you saw that you liked, what you saw that you didn't like, and the slider. I saw him when in his last start, he could do the sort of, when he didn't throw a good one and it got hammered, he would do the flipping and know that, need to do it better, catch it out front. Why is he not able consistently to do that?
I think, for one, he has been, and we have all the confidence in the world that he will continue to do that more consistently. What I liked was his stuff and his velo and the strikeouts that happened in the first 2 or 3 innings of the game. I think from that, there's probably some nerves. There's probably a little bit of, he's amped up to get back in the big leagues and pitch. And when you're losing the zone, stuff's going to happen like it happened in DC. I think if he could have any real pitches back, it's the hanging breaking balls for home runs. And I think with that, when you're struggling with your fastball command, he was throwing sliders, in hitters counts, and they got hit hard. And I think, you hear him talk to Pete in between innings. You hear him talk in between his, and the days after his start, and understands that you can't do that. You can't flip in a slider in a 2-1 count to a guy who's going to be aggressive in that count. You still got to rip it and execute your pitches. So that's what it comes down to. So whether it was that first start, I think kind of, in a vacuum, that's what you want to be better, but that's what big league pitchers do. His next outing on Sunday, one of the goals is to not leave any lazy breaking balls in the zone. It happens to everyone. It happened to Jose a couple times, who's American League Pitcher of the Month. It's going to happen. So I think being aware of that, and when you are, scuffling to find the zone a little bit with your heater, you can't take your foot off the gas if you're throwing a slider or a changeup.
Yep.
John, as always, we appreciate your time. Thanks for this, man. Go
Thanks,
get him.
buddy.
Yeah, you bet, guys.
Good luck.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Take care.
See you.
See you.